My name is Kea Ombele. I'm a principal prosecution counsel based at Shanzu Law Courts. I have been working with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the past 11 years. I am here today as a prosecution counsel who was based at the GBV court, the Pioneer Court, based at Shanzu Law Courts. As a prosecutor, the mandate of a prosecutor, or the greatest role, is to prosecute criminal cases and also to direct investigations. And that is a very critical role when it comes to the criminal justice system in terms of upholding the rights of both the victims and even the accused persons. As a prosecutor, when you're making the decision to charge, we need to ensure that there is sufficient evidence, and it is also in public interest for us to bring a case before court. Touching on matters GBV, it is a very crucial role, especially when it comes to directing investigations. The prosecutor has to work hand in hand with the investigator so that at the end of the day we have the best charge that can come before court, and we also have the evidence that is required. That means that even the handling of evidence has to be directed by the prosecutor in order to have the best result when the case comes to court. When making the decision to charge in GBV cases, public interest is of great importance because GBV is rampant, and we see most of the victims of GBV are currently, they go through a lot of trauma, and therefore when you're dealing with their cases, you have to deal with it from a victim-centered approach. So when you look at the reporting mechanisms for victims, victims are encouraged to report the cases at the nearest police station, where we have now the police stations have GBV desks. They are accorded the necessary support there. We also have non-governmental organizations where victims are sensitized to go and report their cases, who will escort them to the police station for purposes of reporting. So there are clear-cut reporting mechanisms for victims when it comes to the issue of reporting. Again, now when they get to court, as a prosecutor, it is paramount that I ensure that this victim gets the justice that they deserve. And from my experience is that most victims of GBV, they suffer not only trauma, but they are also suffering shame, and therefore you have to protect their dignity. You have to support them and give them confidence that they are following the right route and that justice will be served at the end of the day. So working in the SGBV court, the one thing that we ensured, especially for victims, is that victims are given priority, and also they're given counseling before they actually come to court. We assess whether they are ready to proceed with hearing of their cases, and in the event they're not ready, the court would actually just give an order for that victim to continue with counseling until they are ready to come and testify in court. Where we find that the victim is ready but is still traumatized, we also make an application before court that the victim should continue with counseling services even after they have testified in court, to ensure that even post-trial that the victim's needs are also met. When looking at the victim's needs, you also look at legal representation. Victims are supposed to be represented where they wish to. So we allow advocates and even non-governmental organizations such as FIDA to come and watch brief for the victims. And as a prosecutor, we work hand in hand with counsel that is watching brief for the victim, and we take the advice of the needs of the victim. And where it serves justice, we put them into practice. So that is basically how we have treated victims, and we have looked at the victim-centered approach. And as we go forward in these 16 days of activism, the most important thing is we make sure that we sensitize the public on issues GBV. As we see, most of the people do not report these cases because, as culture is, some of them just think it is normal for my husband to slap me, it is normal for this to happen. And therefore, as you go down there, even with the strategic agenda that the DPP has, that we have to go to the community and sensitize them on some of these crimes. And therefore, we are taking part of this, and we go to the community together with the non-governmental organization. For example, in Shanzu, we go with the SGBV CUC. We have plans, and we go with activities, and we go to sensitize the public in chief barasas and stuff like that. So we let them know that there are reporting mechanisms in place where they can go and report these cases, and they will not be traumatized, they will not be shamed and all that. So it has been an experience that I would advise that we continue as an office to just go out there and sensitize the public on even the mandate of the office, because some of them do not even know that we are able to step in for them. They think that they need advocates, and they say they cannot afford advocates to go out there and prosecute these cases for them. So just being there and telling them that we are here to prosecute their cases and just ensure justice is done, that is what we ensure that it is done. When I think of some of the cases that have been brought before our courts as GBV cases, you find there are a lot of intimate partner violence, and most of the people do not want to proceed with prosecution. That is a challenge, because in the midst of trial, the woman comes and says, I want to withdraw this case because it is my husband, he's the breadwinner, we cannot live without him, we are out of rent, we are out of food. So they want to withdraw these cases. And you look at a case like a grievous harm case, where the woman has been beaten and miscarried a child, or where a woman has been beaten and broken her legs. But now she's coming in crutches in court, and she's saying, I cannot proceed with this trial. I just want to forgive my husband because we have children and he is the sole breadwinner. So those are some of the challenges. But again, now you see, for the cases to come to court, it is not the first time that this is happening. It has been happening over and over again, and these women do not want to get out. And, you know, they're looking at the society, they're looking at the prejudices that the society raises when they come out and, you know, against violence, against torture. So basically that is a challenge in prosecution, but we have seen success stories where women have stood up and they have reported these cases and they have come to court, they have testified, and at the end of the day, justice has been served. I think even some of this, they escalate, and it is unfortunate that we see some of them just ending up in cases of murder. We see them ending up in cases of manslaughter. And if you look at the history, you find that the violence was there from before. It is not something that just started, and the woman has been, you know, forgiving and all that. So it is critical for a prosecutor in the whole process, because some of these cases, they start as an assault. It is just a simple slap. And therefore, when this woman just says, he slapped me because I didn't give him food, they always give excuses of why the offense was created, or the man himself. Men do not want to come out and say they're suffering GBV, but as we're looking at violence against women, today I'll just concentrate on the women cases and just say that women should be encouraged to get out there and also tell their daughters that GBV is real and they're not supposed to be victims. They should rise up and take justice in their hands and just report the cases and come to court, and at the end of the day, justice shall be served.